Anora is your big winner from the 2025 Oscars with 5 wins and a decisive victory. Demi, Moore, and Heartbreak. Adrien Brody and Triumph. Best Oscars host since Crystal? Possibly. And more in episode 1 of Cinema Wars. My name is Alex Helmer.
And I'm Big J from Unyolo.
We love movies. More importantly, we love talking about movies. And most importantly, we are passionate about movies. CINEMAWARS is a show where all those things clash in a showdown of movie knowledge. Big J, welcome. It's great to be here with you in our first official episode of the CINEMAWARS Podcast.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. There's no points, but that's not why we're not going to argue and all our arts out.
Exactly. Like I said in the tagline, we're here because we're passionate about the movies. Tonight will be no different as we talk and recap the 2025 Oscars. Unyolo, just a quick background for those who don't watch. CINEMAWARS is a show that is based off a previous popular segment in the League of Cinephiles YouTube channel that we've been doing for years now. And it was a competitive point system format. So we had winners, losers, all that jazz. Big J, you were one of the best, possibly the best in that show's history. And now you're back with me. No points, nothing like that. But I'd be lying if I said you didn't have that competitive vigor in you. Am I right?
Yeah, the points doesn't matter. I still want to finish on top. I still want to convince others that I'm right. It's always been the case, and it's going to continue here.
For sure. And with our two guests today, this will be nothing short of fireworks, as we have today 2 experts on our panel. We have Kyle and Tristan, co-hosts of the Awards Addicts podcast. Tristan, Kyle, welcome.
Thank you so much for having us. Yeah, I'm very excited to be on this first episode. Yeah, we have a podcast called The Awards Addicts. It's an Oscar podcast. It's going to be very fun to be able to debate Tristan and also my old friends Unyolo, and I guess Helmer's going to be judging us, but it should be fun. It should be a fun time, and if you like what you hear, please come listen to us.
For sure. Before we get started on the show, talk to us a bit about your awards kind of history following awards season, as well as the start of your podcast as of recently.
Yeah, so I know for me, I've always watched the Oscars growing up. My mom was just someone who watched like every award show, even if she didn't really watch the movies or anything. So I was a child watching the Oscars, and I really got into predicting seriously during the Spotlight year, 2015. And that was like my first year where I really took it seriously and like kind of had fun with it. And even more so with The Shape of Water year in 2017 was when I really started to like really get to the nitty gritty, look at the precursors and stuff. And I just been obsessed ever since. And that's where we're addicted to awards. I think it's kind of similar for Tristan, so I'm going to give it to him.
Yeah, I've been same kind of thing. I fell in love with film through the awards. I watched the Oscars a lot growing up, and I started watching all the films that were nominated, and eventually I discovered that that's really what I want to do as a career. So the Oscars kind of helped me get into film, and I get really excited and really passionate every year predicting and watching all the movies. And we're even predicting like a year in advance right now. So it's we're definitely addicted. And yeah, very excited to be on this this first episode with you guys.
For sure, guys. It's our pilot episode. Make sure you join for more as we bring you weekly movie debate content here on CINEMAWARS. But let's not waste any more time. Unyolo, I'm going to get to you first, as you are my host. Who is the best winner of the night and the biggest loser?
Well, I think everyone is kind of going to say Sean Baker because, like, first guy to win 4 Oscars. But I'm going to say I'm still here just because I'm Portuguese and my girlfriend is Brazilian. And if you just see, like, in the middle of the carnival, they stopped the carnival to watch the Oscars. It's like the whole country stopped because of a movie, and they celebrated winning Best Foreign Movie like it was, I don't know. So I would say that for me is the biggest winner, because any movie that can kind of move a whole country is like going to be the biggest winner. I think Sean Baker is going to stay in history, but for Brazilian people, and we're talking about like a lot of millions of people. And even if you go and see the Oscars posts on Instagram, all the posts have like 30, 40,000 likes. Everything that has Fernando Torres have 600,000. That is just how crazy they are. And so for me, that's the biggest winner for me.
I'm going to go over to Tristan, Kyle, now. Your assertion on I'm Still Here possibly being the best winner of the night, and your counter argument as to if something else or someone else would be your pick.
I know this is supposed to be an argumentative podcast, but I'm with Unyolo there. I do think I'm Still Here is the best winner of the night. That's the one that made me the most passionate. My family's Portuguese as well, and my grandmother like grew up with Fernanda Torres's mom, like watching her in movies, Fernanda Montenegro. So I've been really like following this movie, and I've been very passionate about it. And just watching how it's like moved an entire group of people, and how this is like the most watched Oscars in years because of this movie is really incredible. It's
Really?
it's gone, I think, far beyond just a show about celebrating film, and it's really celebrating a culture that hasn't been recognized. Like films from Brazil haven't really been all that recognized outside of Brazil on a world stage like this. So it's been a really amazing thing to watch.
Kyle, we're going to go over to you now.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you guys that Walter Salas and I'm Still Here as a whole had a huge year. In fact, I can honestly say that this was maybe the biggest win for like anything internationally. But for the biggest winner of the night, I'm going to go with Flow and Latvia winning animated feature over the Wild Robot, pulling off that surprise triumph upset. I know the easy answer, like Anora, so it'd probably be Sean Baker winning 4 Oscars, but I'm going to say Flow because I think when you look at the trajectory, I know at the end I lost so much hope for Flow just because it lost BAFTA. It really was only going in with the Golden Globe win and the Indie Spirit Annie win. So I was like, the Independent Annie win. And I was thinking it's probably going to be the Wild Robot, but I think you can see a change and shift in the perception of animated films with this Flow win in animated feature over the Wild Robot. And Latvia, just like Brazil, has had such a big surge of passion behind this movie, lining up miles and miles for it. I'm embracing my Luke reviews in my heart right now. So I'm going to say Flow was the biggest winner tonight.
And off of that, as they say, balls in your court, Estonia.
Good
We'll go
Conan
back
joke.
to you now. You mentioned Flo is your best winner of the night. Who's your biggest loser?
Biggest loser. Ooh, this is a tough one. I really am going to say, I think you guys are going to dog on me, but I'm going to say Adrien Brody. I think everyone came away with this speech being too long, too dry. I think there's a lot of people who kind of maybe wished that there was another chance to award maybe a Ray Fiennes who has not won an Oscar yet, and this is their nomination, or maybe anointing a new star like a Timothée Chalamet for Complete Unknown. Now, personally, I believe Adrien Brody gave the best male performance of 2024. But thinking about the biggest loser, when I'm thinking in the grand scheme of things of what will have the long-term effects, what will people think about as not the best part of the ceremony, I think it will be Adrien Brody.
Unyolo, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I tried to be original on the first one, but I think on this one, it has to be Emilia Perez. I don't think there's any other way around, because even the awards they won, like Best Music, like the acceptance speech was just ridiculous. Even when they won, they kind of lose. If it wasn't Zoe Saldana, there was nothing that we could say positive about that movie. So I'm one of the guys that likes that movie. Okay, I like the movie.
I think all of us here gave it positive reviews.
Yeah, I really like that movie, but there was no chance for anyone winning. I don't know if you guys saw the interview of the director after, when someone asked him if he has anything to say about the trans community, and he said, well, if I won, I would have something to say. Because I didn't win, I didn't have the chance, and he didn't say anything. So even on
He didn't even know he won for Best Original Song, technically.
But even after the awards, they were still putting that movie down. And the hate that movie got, I think a lot of it is because of that. Because the movie is not that bad. The movie has a lot of positive things, but it was just very hard to like anyone involved in it. And I just felt really sorry for Zoe Saldana and like the other people that put all their work in, because making a movie is not one person, it's a lot of two people there kind of ruined the chance for anyone. So I have to say that is the biggest loser, and I think that's what people will remember, because it was the most nominated movie. So when you look at the history, you're gonna say, hey, this movie was so nominated, how the hell did he only got these awards? And everyone will know the story. So I think they'll be the biggest loser.
I think we can all agree Emilia Perez is the, if not one of the biggest losers. We're going to circle back to you, Tristan, because I do find it very interesting what Kyle had to say about the so-called controversial, I say controversial in air quotes because not as in any of the substance that he was saying was inherently controversial. He just went over 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And in history. Your thoughts on Kyle's assertion that Adrien Brody came out of the ceremony worse than he came into it?
I think he definitely did come out worse than he came into it. I mean, just like even before he got up on stage, he took his gum out of his mouth. I don't know if you guys saw that. And he threw it at his girlfriend. That just set the tone of the speech. But I will say it's probably an improvement on his last speech. I don't know if you guys have seen that one for the pianist. So it might have damaged his reputation a little bit, but I think the work was there. Whereas I think in the best original song category, specifically, like I do think Amelia Perez was the biggest loser of this entire season. But that, like, if we're just talking of the night, I think that song category was just so embarrassing because the song itself is not great. And then they get up there. Jacques Audiard is just like pacing back and forth. Yeah. I don't even know what he's doing. And then they are just going on and on and on and start singing like off key. And this is the team behind La Festin from Ratatouille. So like that is such an incredible song. I don't know how they go from like creating something so magical like that to El Mal, which I don't even think is like terrible or anything, but like just out of context of the movie, it's not a great song. And then the speech and everything leading up to Amelia Perez like getting that award was just so awkward. Yeah, I think that specifically is Jacques Audiard, I would say, is the biggest loser of the night.
Yeah, and about Adrien Brody, I think the biggest loser there also is the Oscars, because they should have cut him out, because they cut out a lot of people, smaller people. So the biggest loser there is when he says, "Oh, you stop the music," and they did, because it's disrespectful for everyone else that won and wanted to say something, and they just put the music on and didn't care. So that 100%. Just shows the Oscars are not being fair and seeing everyone in the same light. So that's, for me, it's even worse than what he did. He should know, but what they did, it was even worse.
The funniest part of Adrien Brody's speech to me was when he said that Georgina Chapman's kids, which is Harvey Weinstein's kids, call him Pops. And I was like, there's no way that Harvey Weinstein kids call Adrien Brody Pops. But and that made me laugh a lot.
That's so awkward. They should have cut to John Lithgow like they said they were.
Yeah.
I thought overall the ceremony was great in terms of just the production of it. It was one of the best that I've seen in recent memory, especially the in memoriam. But this segment specifically with Adrien Brody, who is someone, by the way, I was rooting for, my favorite performance of the year, in my favorite movie of the year. It was a really bad look, not just the gum, but it was the music telling the producers, whatever, the ceremony in general, I don't know who he was talking to shut down the music, because what he had to say was more important than what everyone else had to say, which is a really terrible look. What he was saying afterwards was also important, but phrasing it and leading to it in that way was something that was incredibly juvenile, and something that was again, as someone of a fan, I was very disappointed in that behavior. But at the same time, I agree with Big J's assertion that it was also an Oscars thing. They should have played him off way earlier. Adrien Brody's first Oscars speech, luckily, is something that is in the history book. Be definitely remembered for that more than anything as we head on to our next topic of conversation. Anora, 5 Oscar wins. I don't think if you told any of us a couple months ago that this was going to be the case, that we would have that we wouldn't have been surprised. But at the same time, let's go to Tristan first. Let's fast forward 50 years from now. Hopefully you're alive. I think you'll be alive, Tristan. You're healthy. You're a great guy. Does Anora deserve the love? And how will you remember amongst Best Picture winners of the past?
So I'm a huge Sean Baker fan. He's been one of my favorite filmmakers since The Florida Project. So seeing him go from, making films like Tangerine and The Florida Project to being like tying the record for the most amount of Oscars won in one night by a single person is pretty incredible. I don't think Anora is his best movie, to be honest. I think it's a great movie, and I do think that it is a deserved Best Picture winner, but I do think there were better films this year. That all being said, I think it is going to be remembered 50 years from now, because I think Sean Baker is going to be considered one of the greats of his generation. I think he's someone that continues to, even though he has a style and specific subjects that he focuses on, I think he continues to evolve and try new things, and he seems like such a genuine guy, and he's so involved in the film community that I think he's going to be one of these figures that we consider one of the greats. And even if Anora isn't everyone's favorite Sean Baker film, it's going to represent the celebration of his career, and for that alone, I do think that this is going to be remembered. And it is a great movie overall, with a star-making performance by Mikey Madison, who I think is also going to be one of the greats of her generation, and already an Oscar winner. So I can't wait to see what she does.
I'm going to go to you now. Tristan mentioned Anora being specifically recognized, mostly due to Sean Baker's prowess in the future, what he does in the future. Do you think Anora will be more so remembered because of its chief creator, Sean Baker, or because of its story, its characters, etc., what it is as a film alone?
Well, I see that in the future, a lot of people are going to turn into independent movies because it's becoming more and more easy for people to create movies. The technology is there, the people like, and I think this is going to give a lot of energy to people because like if you saw Tangerine, that was all made with a phone, and he's the kind of guy that like, okay, I don't have a camera, I'll do it with a phone. I don't have this, I'll do it with. And I think that is the most important thing Anora is going to bring. He's going to bring a lot of people thinking, okay, that guy with I think it was $6 million, he beat movies like Dune with 100 and something million, and all these big productions. Sean Baker is going to be someone huge. And I don't think in a very long time anyone will beat his record of 4 Oscars in one night. So his name is always going to be up there. But I think more than anything, this movie will be an example of if you tell the story that you want to tell. And I think that was the message that they kept talking about, is tell the stories you want to tell. And I think this is going to be the future. There's going to be a lot more people just creating movies. There's going to be alternative ways to share these movies. And even the cinemas, they will need more of this kind of movies because they not have the money to just be doing blockbusters. So I think that is why Anora is going to be recognized forever. I agree with that. Everyone else out of it, will become big names. But more than that, this movie will be a representative of what independent cinema can be.
Kyle, Lawrence of Arabia, The Apartment, The Godfather, Casablanca, Anora is now in the company of films like those. What does that mean?
I'm going to take a different approach to this question because I do think it will be remembered. But when you look at films like Casablanca or The Apartment, I just don't think Anora captures that timeless quality like those. I feel like it will be in the vein of something maybe like The French Connection, a film that is remembered, but maybe hasn't aged the best, I think it doesn't capture that timeless quality that I think we so venture out to see in a Best Picture winner. And to Unyolo's point, I do agree with him. I think Sean Baker's going to be huge. I think Mikey Madison's going to be even bigger. And I think their filmography, because what Tristan said is right. I don't think this is his best movie. I think Florida Project's better. I think Red Rocket's better. Sean Baker will be remembered. Anora will be remembered, but will it be, when people look back at this, will it be the one that people cite as Sean Baker's best movie? Should it be the film that Sean Baker should have won for? Should it have deserved a sweep? Which we'll talk about a little later, but I just don't know if I would even put it close to something like Lawrence of Arabia or like Kramer versus Kramer or The Apartment. All these are timeless classics, Best Picture winning movies that we all love, that we all think are perfect today as they were then, if not grown like fine wine. If they The Apartment only gets better on rewatch every single time you watch The Apartment.
I think it's if we look at the movies that won the Oscars for the last maybe 20 years, there's not a lot of them that probably will be as good as Lawrence of Arabia or The Apartment. Because I think this is I think we spoiled now. I keep saying this. I think we spoiled now. We get so many movies all the time, and we are always comparing it with say, oh, it's not as good as that one. And that one is goddamn masterpiece. Nothing is gonna it's not fair to be comparing all the movies like that. But if I look for the last Oscar winners, I think Anora still has a place there. Is way better than Coda. Is and it still has a space there. I think we can't keep comparing with these movies that also there's a lot of nostalgia, there's a lot of things, because sometimes when we look at these movies that won the Oscars a lot of times ago, like if we compare it the same way, we're gonna find things to nitpick on it, but we don't, because we like
But the thing is, Unyolo,
it.
don't tell me that like you think like to me, I feel like the best picture winner that's going to age the best. And I know this is going to be controversial. I feel like you guys will disagree with me. But of the ones in the 2020s, I think Nomadland is going to age way better than Everything Everywhere All at Once and Coda and Anora. I think that the themes of isolation will be timely 50 years from now than maybe what Anora is really trying to go for. I think Anora will be remembered. I think it's going to be well liked still. I don't think it's going to be like reappraised to be worse than it is right now. But as far as like aging better and aging as well as like something like The Apartment, I just don't see it.
I love Nomadland. Like I love it way more than most people. But there is no way.
You don't think it's going to age better than Anora, really?
It's definitely not going to age better than like Everything Everywhere All at Once.
It will. It definitely will.
I think this is a totally different conversation, but I think Nomadland is going to always be attached to the COVID era, because while it wasn't made during COVID, its themes are so relevant to what was going on at that time that we're always going to think of it as the COVID film, which in some ways will help it be remembered, but in other ways I think is almost doing a disservice to it. But I do think that speaking of like Oppenheimer and Everything Everywhere, I think those movies actually will be considered some of the greats when we look like 20, 30 years from now and look back of the best picture winners of this era. I definitely think Oppenheimer and Everything Everywhere are going to be in that category, because they were just such big swings, and they felt like they totally just were the films of the moment, but also we're doing something, especially in Everything Everywhere's case, something totally new that I think is going to inspire so many filmmakers for generations to come. Whereas Anora, I think it's a case of like, it was just a really great movie, and it was the most well-liked in a year where there were so many different movies that people liked, and they couldn't really agree on the film that like everyone was supporting. So Anora was just a film that everyone seemed to like, and that's how it won, I think. But I do think The Brutalist is actually going to be among.
Yeah, I think a lot of the other competition for Anora will age way better. Like I think Nickel Boys and The Brutalist will age way better than Anora.
Nickel Boys will age better than Anora will?
Nickel Boys will 100% age better than Anora. Come on.
I don't think so.
Come on. No, let me explain. Nickel Boys.
I don't know that one.
No.
I'm with you, Kyle.
No. Kyle, Nickel Boys is only recognized you're telling me, do you think Nickel Boys would have been nominated if it was POV? If it wasn't POV, I'm sorry.
I think that's why it's going to age better. I think the innovative stance of the POV is why it's going to age so well.
Very superficial, technological story.
You gave it 3 stars, right? That's because you don't like it, Homer. You're biased, but you don't see the vision. You don't see the vision of how.
I like it.
Homer, in 20 years, when you're making films, you're on your 18th movie, you're going to be thinking to yourself, wow, Nickel Boys did that POV standpoint so well. It's time to me to make my grand opus documentary archival footage movie. I'm going to go full Alex Helmer. Going to go full Ramel Ross, baby. That's what you're going to say in 20 years. And I'm going to call you. I'm going to remind you of this podcast.
It's not like Nickel Boys made the first person.
No, but you see it on this level that's so unique, where it just puts you in the eyes of these young black men. And you're going to remember this conversation in 20 years, Homer.
I think more than anything, Nickel Boys is going to influence a new generation of cinematographers. Because I think cinematography is often seen as like just like support to the director, or like more of a technical thing, whereas like I think people are going to watch Nickel Boys and bring like more artistry to or like try and reinvent cinematography, because it's just like a completely different.
And then last thing, one word or two or whatever, no explanation necessary, but if you can all give me a comp in terms of what sort of company you think Anora will be in amongst other Best Picture winners, if there is a movie or two that stand out.
I think I said already, I think The French Connection is a pretty good area. I think that one, maybe in terms of something more contemporary, maybe like a Slumdog Millionaire, something that was really well liked at the time, something that's still well liked now, maybe not as timely now as it was then.
Tristan, Big J, quickly before we move on.
Yeah, Slumdog Millionaire is one that makes me think that this could kind of because it is a lot more fun than most Oscar movies, and I think that's one of the things I think people also enjoyed it here. Yeah, so it's gonna be way better than, like, let's say Green Book. That's like that's the one that I don't know how it won, but I think it's like this more fun side of it. So like something like Slumdog Millionaire, I would put it there.
Tristan?
I'm going to put it up with The Departed, which maybe seems kind of like a big deal, but I think The Departed is one of these movies it's a really good film, but it's not Martin Scorsese's best, and I think that's how we're going to talk about Anora, where everybody likes it, but it's not his crowning achievement.
That's actually, when you mentioned that specific talking point, I thought of The Departed as potential comp. So interesting you say that as you move on now. Possibly the biggest moment of the show, and for me, the biggest piece of heartbreak is when Demi Moore lost the Best Actress Oscar to Mikey Madison. Ironically, losing the Oscar to the youngest nominee in the category. Unyolo, I'm going to go to you. Was it the right decision?
Yeah, 100%. I do not see why everyone is upset. I since the beginning I said that she should win. I wasn't surprised at all. I think Demi Moore would be my third pick because Fernanda Torres would be the second. So I do not see why everyone is surprised. Does she have a good role? Yes, but she shares the half of the movie. She and the things when she's like carrying the movie herself is very like about the makeup and stuff. She does a great job. Don't get me wrong, but when we compare it about like Anora, that she carries the whole movie. That movie without her, with another actress, I don't know if it works. The I'm Still Here without Fernanda Torres, I'm sure it does not work. Another person doing what Demi Moore did, I can see a couple of actresses being able to do it. So 100% she should have won, and I was really happy. I thought she wouldn't win just because of the narrative. Oh, Demi Moore is the last time she probably can win an Oscar and all this. And I thought it was gonna go that way, and I was really annoyed. And when she won, I think she's 100% the right choice.
Tristan, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Demi Moore would be the right choice in most years. Like, I don't think it's totally fair to say it was just a narrative play, because I do think that it's such a daring role. And she was an actress that never took roles like this before. She kind of got pigeonholed to certain roles, and she was kind of the blockbuster actress in the 90s. And this is a really bold role for her, and I think she really gives it her all. And she has like perfect comedic timing in there too. And it's such a I think she really takes that role to the next level. But if we're just looking at the performances alone, I do think that what Mikey Madison had to do is even more challenging, because she's really carrying that film. That's just like an expert performance. It's like a total masterclass in acting. I really do appreciate what Demi Moore did. I don't think she's technically like an incredible actress or anything like that. I think this is definitely her best role, and I'd like to see her take roles like this more in the future. But I think Mikey Madison, this is a birth of like one of the best actresses of her generation. I think she's going to go on to do some incredible stuff, and I think she's just on a different level from an acting standpoint.
Kyle, I'm going to go to you now. What was your instant reaction when you were there for the Mikey Madison?
Well, let me tell you. So I was at the Indian, where I watch the Oscars every year, and I had put Mikey Madison on my ballot because I was predicting Fernanda till the very end, and I told Tristan I'm going to switch to Mikey. I'm feeling Mikey in the moment. I DM'd him that night, and I and I was like, I put Mikey on the ballot because I just felt like Demi was not going to take it. I felt it was between Mikey and Fernanda, and I had a lot of money bet on Fernanda, so I lost a lot of money. I'm very, very frustrated. And so that was my initial reaction. I was like, fuck, I just lost so much money. I just lost so much money. But I was very happy for Mikey, of course, because yeah, Mikey was one of my favorite performances of the year. And I do think she deserved it over Demi. I don't think Demi would be in my personal 5. I think we recently filmed our own, like, if we chose the Oscars, the Addies, and I did not have Demi Moore. Tristan had Demi Moore, and he tried to convince me to put her in, but I was not feeling it. And I do think Demi, the narrative of Demi, the comeback narrative was strong, and I think she'll be back. I think there's more opportunities, there's more roles. I think this put her back in the spotlight in a new way that she can be rewarded in the future. But right now, if we're looking at the Oscars, we just talked about the future of Anora as a Best Picture winner. If we're looking at the Oscars 50 years down the line and Mikey didn't win, it would be bizarre to look at 4 wins for Anora, all of them to Sean Baker and none to Mikey Madison, who's the star of Anora, who carries Anora on her back. That would be bizarre. That would be bizarre. She deserves to come along with the movie, and I'm very happy for Mikey in this decision.
Also,
even on that narrative that we're talking about, like this huge star that now is older and stuff, I would say Pamela Anderson did a better job than Demi Moore did in acting. Like The Last Showgirl is like, it's kind of the same thing. She's losing her job because she's older and stuff. And I think like she did more of a deep like acting than Demi Moore did, because Demi Moore had a lot of help there. Demi Moore has a lot of help with the makeup, with the camera work. I think the director of The Substance has a big part in her coming as good as she did. So I would even say on that narrative, I would probably say Pamela Anderson did a better job than her. But she was amazing. But just would not be my pick for any of those.
All right, we're gonna move on now to Best Actress. The counterpart category, Best Actor, was Adrien Brody worthy of receiving his second Oscar win last night?
Absolutely, yeah. I think what Adrien Brody did in The Brutalist is just absolutely incredible work. I think it cements him as one of the greats. And to me, this was the performance of the year, even over Mikey Madison. Just every single second of The Brutalist, he commanded the screen. Laszlo Toth, I think, is just such a compelling character. And Brody, even though some people say it's like a similar role to The Pianist, I do think he's doing something completely different here. And I was just really impressed by what he was able to bring to the screen. And even though I would have been also happy with Timothée Chalamet winning, I do think Timothy is going to have better performances in the future. Whereas, like, I just think what Brody did was just a career high, and I think we're going to look back at it as one of the best performances of probably this entire decade.
Kyle, it's a big statement from Tristan there. Do you agree that one of the best performances, if not the best performance of the last decade, specifically of the last couple of years in the 2020s?
No, the best performance of the 2020s is Cate Blanchett in Tar, who lost to Michelle Yeoh in Everything Ever All at Once. But I'm going to disagree with Tristan here, because he said that he would be okay with Timmy winning. No, if Timmy won for a complete unknown, I would kill myself. Unironically, I would kill myself. Adrien Brody is so far ahead of Timothy in every way. I think Timothy was probably the 4th best in that category.
I agree. I don't know why I said that. I just like Timothée Chalamet as an actor, but yeah, no, you're right.
No, Sebastian Stan and Coleman were both better.
Yeah,
but no, Adrien Brody, I think he's absolutely deserving of his second Oscar. This is the role of a lifetime. I thought, I even though I think Cate Blanchett is much better, I think this is definitely like top 5. I don't think would any of us disagree? This is like top 5 of the decade so far. Top 5, top 10 for sure, probably.
It's my number 1.
No, Elmo's shaking his head, but we'll get to him in a second. No, I think this is.
I don't even think it's the best of the year. So I'm gonna disagree.
Wow.
After you finish.
Interesting. Okay, well, I'm excited to hear who you think.
Who is your best?
Coleman Domingo is
Brody in The Brutalist.
For me. Coleman Domingo is way better. Like in Sing Sing, I just love his performance. I just think he's amazing. And I'm gonna say what Tristan said. A lot of people say. Like, this is for me The Pianist too. Like, is exactly the same performance, exactly the same tempo, exactly the same tricks that he did before, and it's great. Yes, it is great, but I don't feel is raw. I don't feel is like. I think it's very like performance. Like, he was very trained. He was very perfect in a way, and that's not the kind of like roles that I think what Coleman Domingo did in Sing Sing, just some scenes where you feel the emotion, when you feel the pain of that guy. Without, I think a lot of acting is when you're not talking, and I think like the parts that he's not talking, and you just see the acting in his eyes and the pain there is way stronger than what I saw there. But it is a great performance. We all know he's a great actor, but it's just like it just felt very similar to The Pianist, and I think on The Pianist 100% is like it's this performance that you don't forget ever. This one, I'm not that sure, and I think people like, if you see one and the other, I don't see him being like, especially being the best of the decade. I don't see it.
Tristan, is The Brutalist The Pianist 2 for Adrien Brody's second Oscar win?
I mean, I understand why people say it, because it's not even a similar character, but I mean, they both are sort of dealing with similar subject matter, but this is also like, in this context, this is an epic, and I think this character is very different than the one in The Pianist. I also think there's a little bit of you guys might disagree with me, but I think this character is almost similar to Daniel Plainview from There Will Be Blood. I felt it was that kind of role where, like, every single scene, he's just magnetizing, and it's this huge epic performance. I thought he was incredible in this.
Overall thoughts on the 2024-2025 award season, which was less monumental than others. At least I felt that way. Maybe you guys felt that way. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you thought the 2024-25 award season was the best in recent memory. Kyle, what are your thoughts?
Monumental. That's not necessarily a positive pronoun. Because when I think of monumental, I just think big and grand. And to me, there's so many ups and downs, so much mess, that I had a lot of fun, even though I hated every second of it. I think I was telling Tristan my love-hate relationship with this award season, because every single turn there's like Carlos Sofia Gaston defending Hitler, or there's I'm so sorry, or there's like Timothy Chalamet pulling up a SAG upset, and I'm like, there's just too much drama this season for me to keep track of, for me to really enjoy it. But it's been entertaining. Has it been monumental? I guess not really. I mean, I think when you compare something like the Oppenheimer sweep last year, or the Everything Everywhere All sweep last year, Everything Everywhere getting like all 4 major golds was kind of like, this is monumental because it's gold sweeping, but like, is it really like enjoyable for me? Because no, I know what's going to win, but this was fun. It was unpredictable. It made things a little entertaining for me. It kept me on my toes. I did poorly. So like, that's like something that's like, gives you motivation to do better next year. So, for me, I think I found some value in the season, even if I didn't really enjoy it.
Tristan, your thoughts?
I'm in the minority here, where this is like one of my favorite seasons. 5 out of 10 of these movies are like, I'd give like 5 stars to. I think that there are some real like just masterpieces in this lineup, but I do understand that like people do consider it less monumental. I think a lot of it has to do with just the drama, but also I think the strikes were kind of a big, I know that was last year, but I think it kind of affected the output of this year. And I think a lot of it was like, these are all kind of newer filmmakers, newer voices. You don't have a lot of those big, outside of Sean Baker, who's been around for a while, but you don't have a lot of those kind of big staples. Like for example, Christopher Nolan last year, that was like, he had been working for like 30 years, 25 years, and he had been building up to that moment. And that felt monumental. That was like this grand epic winning. Finally, we get to award Christopher Nolan. And while Sean Baker has been working for quite a while, it's not to that same degree where it did feel like this big event. But I do overall, I love the films in this lineup. I think they're so diverse. And I think we are starting to shift towards like a younger, more interesting academy, like more diverse, because you're seeing films like The Substance, which I don't think would have ever gotten in like 10, 20 years ago, getting widespread recognition. And I'm still here, an international film that like just was able to sneak in last minute. And I think this is like we're starting to really see a shift. Or Flow, like we never see those small animated films win. So I think this is starting a trend, and we're going to see more of this, and it's going to become more unpredictable in the years to come.
Tristan, if you were stuck on a desert island, would you take the Best Picture nominees of 2025 or 2024 with you?
I think I would take 2025, which I know is a hot take. I do prefer The Brutalist to anything last year, including Oppenheimer.
It would spend more time for you to watch it too, so you would have time on the island.
You would die on the island during the intermission. Unyolo, I'm going to go to you now. Was the 2024-2025 award season less monumental because of how Tristan said the output was not the same because of the strikes? Was it because there are less acclaimed filmmakers contending for awards this year compared to last year? We got Nolan, Scorsese's, etc. But did that case of unpredictability help this season compared to last and others before?
For me, and I think for a lot of people, is that we are realizing that the Oscars are more important for us, the film cinephiles, than some of the industry, because we saw a lot of people like talking in the background, oh, I didn't watch Dune, so I didn't vote for it, or oh, I thought Ralph Fiennes already won an Oscar, so I didn't vote for him. It just shows also that like a lot of this voting and that we get so invested in it. And way before, we always saw the Oscars as this kind of the last stamp of approval on movies. And I think people don't take it that serious when like they have to vote and they have to watch all these movies. But for me, I think that was what made it a little bit less monumental. I think a lot of it is our fault because we discuss it so much in our community and we like go and nitpick on everything. So when the Oscars come, yes, there was some things that were unpredictable, but like there's some categories that we knew ages ago, like Best Supporting Actor. We knew who was going to win like months ago. Like there's a lot of stuff there that it kind of takes the surprise away. And I think that was like why I think it's not such a big thing. And then again, it's like, I know that they don't find a way to cut it, but like 3.5 hours of a show for like a generation that is around TikTok, and even TikTok sometimes is a bit long for them, it's becomes very hard to make it as monumental as it used to be. So
how did Lil J watch the show? Did she enjoy it?
Yeah, she loved it. She was like, she wanted Timothy to win, but she really enjoyed it. She was
so
really
she's a TikTok generation, but she could watch a show. She
yeah,
got
but
it.
that's the thing. But she started watching movies with me when she was like 2 weeks old.
Yeah, her dad's a legend, Kyle.
That's
One of a kind.
No, she's studying cinema, and like she goes to the cinema like 2-3 times a week, 4 times, and none of the people like studying with her go to the cinema. Yeah. That's how sad it is. So she's like she's an outliner. We can't really like.
Yeah.
Kyle, I'm going to go to you specifically regarding Emilia Perez. Did Emilia Perez taint the entire Oscar season?
No,
I think it made it more interesting.
I agree.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
No, it made it. Emilia Perez. I mean, it was a mess. It was a mess. But like, who really cares? I mean, I think it definitely made it more interesting. As far as like, will this be remembered as the Emilia Perez Oscars? Like, will we remember the controversies of Emilia Perez? No, I don't think so. And I think all it did was make the season more entertaining for us, make people have an Oscar villain that we could really actually root against due to like some horrific stuff that was going on with it. And to people also who just didn't like the movie, even though I liked Emilia Perez, but you know,
Kyle,
so
your favorite song from Emilia Perez, go.
Love vaginoplasty, man to woman or woman to man, man to woman, from penis to vagina. Yeah, you know.
Good segment to get to you now. Did the 2025 Oscars succeed in attracting new audience?
I don't know. I would say maybe, like, to a certain degree, because I do think, and weirdly enough, I'm going to bring this back to Emilia Perez. Emilia Perez, like, I have never seen a film so widely hated that, like, people who aren't even into film that, like, I'm friends with were coming up to me and, like, asking me what Emilia Perez is, why it's so hated. Like, this was such a widespread phenomenon that it got eyes on the Oscars. It got more people talking, and it got more people to watch its opposition so that they could find movies to root for, so they could root against Emilia Perez. And I also think I'm Still Here is a big one, because I think there are a lot of Brazilian fans of that movie that may not have paid attention to the Oscars beforehand. And now, because they recognize this film and people were so passionate about this film, it got them interested in paying attention, and it may have gotten them invested in watching, like, not just this year, but years from now. And I think the same thing with Flow. I think you're going to see an increased interest in the Oscars in Latvia. We'll have to ask Luke, but I think that is the case.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a wrestling match. You need a good villain to make it interesting. And I think Emilia Perez was like the villain in this wrestling thing that everyone was like, I don't care who wins as long as it's not them. And that's what I saw everyone like, I don't care. As long as it's not Emilia Perez winning, I'm happy. And I think that joined a lot of people together.
Yeah. In a world filled with political discourse and toxicity, you saw right-wing and left-wing influence come together like the Avengers in their mutual hatred of Emilia Perez, which I saw at TIFF. I think Tristan and Kyle did as well. I liked the movie again. It got a standing applause. It got a standing ovation. I'm sorry, during when I saw it, I thought it was going to be huge, and it was, just not in the way I thought it would.
Same.
Me and Helmer were in the same screening of Emilia Perez.
Oh yeah, no, I was late. I was like 2 minutes late to the movie, so I missed like the first minute of it. I saw also the trans musical number. I thought, like, I did not think it would become like a big thing after seeing that
Same.
number in it. And I was like, okay. I moved on with my life. I was like, okay, that's interesting. Moved on. I didn't think it would become a big thing where everyone would be talking about it. Honestly, I thought most of the music was quite good, and Selena Gomez. I thought Mi Camino is a great song.
Yeah.
I agree.
The shit. I do agree. El Mal was the worst. It was the worst of the nominees. But not. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Unyolo, in terms of the actual production of the show, I know you have talked ad nauseum this show and others about the length of the Oscars. Is the production meaningless if the show is 3.5 hours?
Well, it's not like, I think Conan did a great job. Let's go in that. I think he did a great job, but I think there's little details that they dropped the ball. One of the things that I thought it was okay. I know that like the memoriam, they still had time to add a few people that died just recently, but then they forgot others. And I thought that's like those details, something like the Oscars, they can't do. There's little things like that I think they drop the ball every year, and they just give reasons for people to talk. And I just think it needs to be done better. It just needs to be, and some of the points and some of like the acts that they do, it just takes a little bit time. When like Conan was singing that song about he's not going to waste time. Okay, it's funny because he's saying that. But then you have to cut people that have a once in a lifetime opportunity to say something, and you cutting them because we can't give them 20 seconds. But so there's those things that really.
I'll take the song if it means taking 2 minutes out of Adrien Brody's speech. We're not taking the song.
Yeah, okay, right. But
the song is staying. We're not taking out the song, Kyle.
Yeah, no, to Unyolo's point, I feel like the In Memoriam is always a point of contention every single year because they never get every single person. And the past few years especially, they've had this little thing at the end of the In Memoriam. Scan this QR code to see all the people. That's so disrespectful. That's so stupid. Yeah. I would rather take like an 8-minute In Memoriam segment than have the James Bond song tribute where Doja Cat's singing off key or whatever all this
I
stuff
think
is.
it was great in Diamonds. I thought it was the best of the Bond performances of the
No,
three.
the best one was Ray,
The
but
best
like
one was
even
Skyfall.
she's not better than Adele doing Skyfall.
The Skyfall
Yeah,
one was terrible. That was the worst.
No,
I
Ray
thought
was
that was
good.
pretty bad.
Ray was good.
Hey, but
No,
what
Doja
was
Cat
the
was the worst.
reason?
The Doja Cat one was tremendous.
But what was the
No.
reason for this James Bond? As
Yeah.
it's not Amazon paid them a shitload of money. Because
Exactly.
that's the only reason. There's
I
no,
thought they
there's
were gonna
no
reveal
movie
that
out,
James
there's no
Bond.
anniversary, there's nothing. Why having a James Bond after Amazon just bought it? And after they had that joke of like Jeff Bezos coming in the box and stuff with Amazon there. So I don't know. It just
No, but-
felt like really off.
From a production standpoint, it's always really bad. This year, especially, the first award was more than 30 minutes after the show had already started. It was 7:30. Conan was still talking. And I was like, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
What's going on here? There's absolutely no reason that it should be longer than The Brutalist. It was 3 hours and 44 minutes. That is insane for an award show. There's 23 awards, 3 hours and 44 minutes. Cut out all the songs. I've always been against the whole original song idea. We shouldn't be performing all 5 original songs. That's stupid.
Because
But
this
when
year
they
it's
replace them, I don't want any of this nonsense in my show. It's just ridiculous.
It
Just
makes it
cut
fun,
the show
though.
and do it nice. No, it doesn't make it fun. I didn't have fun during any of the musical segments. And
And that's the other thing. They didn't have time to play any of the songs of the movie that were for best song. And had
Exactly.
Wicked in the beginning.
the Wicked melody was dumb. It was so dumb.
Why is Wicked there? Like, why they like just because they have Ariana Grande? They want
Do you
to.
really want to see Zoe Saldana?
Yeah.
Yes, I want to see them all perform live. I prefer that
Over.
over at Wicked Melody. I don't want to see any songs at all. But if we have to, do the nominated people. Have
Yeah.
Diane Warren come out and do the piano, and have who sings the Diane Warren song? Her. Have her do the Journey live. You know, I'd rather have that than have a Wicked Melody and Queen Latifah doing a Quincy Jones tribute and
Yeah.
James Bond taking 8 minutes up.
Her own little celebration, by the way.
I agree with the latter two, especially I don't understand what the Queen Latifah thing was. That didn't make any sense to me. But I think the Wicked, like Ariana and Cynthia at the beginning, is way better than if any of those songs were performed, because the original songs this year were horrible.
Yeah, so don't pick them. So like you can pick them as the best songs and then say, oh, they too bad to play them. So don't fucking pick them. Like just pick something else. Like
But it was just
this is what
that's
annoys
fair.
me. Look, we have 5 nominated songs. Oh, but let's play the songs of another movie that's running for Oscars. Because like the other ones are bad. It's like so what's the point?
It's disrespectful to the artist, and it's dumb because first of all, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna say a hot take on the Cinema Wars podcast, the first episode, guys. There should not be an original song category. It is the
Wait,
dumbest
what?
category ever.
No,
There should
I
not be an
disagree.
original
Yeah,
song. No,
I disagree.
there should not be an original song category. It is the only category at the Oscars that's not directly related to the quality of a movie. You've never rated a movie higher because there's an original song in a movie. There should not be an original song category at all. It should just be disappeared. I want it to be Thanos
disagree with
snatched out of no, it's the truth.
I
First of
rate
all-
8 Mile higher because of the song.
Because Lose
Yeah.
Yourself. Lose Yourself made you rate
Yeah,
8 Mile higher. No, 8 Mile is good because of Lose Yourself, but not because it's an original song. for the
Imagine
movie.
watching Amelia Perez, but with none of the music. Just
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying that
Tell
doesn't
me
need to be
it's a better
celebrated. That
movie.
doesn't need to be celebrated. Musicals,
It does.
just because a musical is a musical, does not mean we have to nominate the songs in a musical. The original song category is just for a way for people who are musicians to get their EGOTs, and it's just ridiculous. It's dumb, and I don't want it there. I don't want an original song category. That's my hot take for the evening.
It's not like it's voted on initially, at least. It's not like it's voted on by other actors. It's voted for.
No, it's voted by the music branch, and that's why we get Diane Warren getting it for the 16th time.
But-
You don't see any diversity in the nominees. Very rarely. It's
would-
just the top
You
peoples of the year.
better not eliminate it before Diane Warren wins. She's gonna kill herself. If they eliminate the category before Diane Warren wins, she's gonna kill herself.
True.
Tristan, you're a big
Oh,
music
me.
guy.
Yeah,
Would you be
yeah.
offended if this were to happen?
Yeah, absolutely. I understand to a degree if you're saying like songs in the end credits, because I do kind of get that. But if a song is part of the film and part of the narrative, then it should absolutely be eligible to win an Oscar, because that's part of filmmaking.
I don't think there's been a time. I think the last time that we've had more musical songs in nominated an original song over songs that were just end credit songs. The last time that happened was Dreamgirls in 2006.
La
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 La Land
Land.
only was 2 in 2016. There are still 3 other end credit songs.
Yeah, that's fair. But
Imagine
still,
La La Land without the music, Kyle.
yeah,
Oh.
exactly.
Oh, to next April, let's fast forward a bit in time, or next March, I'm sorry, to the 2026 Oscars. Unyolo, your favorites to win the award.
I always hate doing this because every time I pick a movie, I kind of jinx it. Like last year, my favorite to win everything was Joker 2, and see how that came out. So, so I don't know. Like, but looking at the people involved, I think one battle after another of Paul Thomas Anderson with Leonardo DiCaprio and like Sean Penn and Benicio del Toro. I think that has to be good. Like, there's no way to jinx that one. I think it's like the people involved. Another one that I'm really, it can go both ways, is Del Toro Frankenstein. I think that has the potential. I'm still one of the guys that will defend Shape of Water like until the end. I think it's an amazing movie. I think Del Toro has that. I'm really curious to see that movie and the performances on it. So I would say those two would probably be the ones I would bet that at least I'm not gonna jinx them.
Kyle?
I think the low hanging fruit here would obviously be Wicked 2. Wicked for Good. That's gonna get nominated, guaranteed, in my opinion. I think that's the low hanging fruit. Now, I'm not gonna go for that. I'm gonna say I think Frankenstein's a good choice on y'all because I do think there's a lot of Netflix contenders. And Frankenstein is probably their number one choice right now. But I'm gonna take the big risk. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say Alpha. I'm gonna say Alpha. I've told Tristan about this before. I think it's Alpha. I think Alpha is Neon's play this year. I think it's gonna come at Cannes. We don't know if it's gonna be at Cannes this year, but if it comes to Cannes, I think it's gonna win the Palme d'Or. And we've seen body horror embraced this year. I think we're going to go 2 for 2. We're going to get another body horror movie. Julia Ducournau's Alpha will be winning Best Picture next year. I love Teton. Teton was my favorite movie of 2021. We're coming for it. Julia Ducournau's Alpha, number 1, baby. Number 1.
Yeah, this one's definitely not in my predictions.
Yeah, no, I keep telling Tristan, I believe heavily in Julia Ducournau. She's gonna get her second Palme d'Or. She's gonna be like Ruben Östlund, back-to-back palms. Mari Supreme, I think we have to consider. I think both of the Safdie brothers movies, Mari Supreme and The Smashing Machine, will both be heavily considered. The Ballad of is it called The Ballad of a Small Player? The Edward Berger movie. His past 2 movies both were the runner-ups for Best Picture, and this is with Netflix and it's with Colin Farrell. I think this is going to be our prime Oscar contender. I think this is going to be. I think Frankenstein and Ballad of a Small Player are like the 2 ones. Maybe Train Dreams, which they bought at Sundance. But I think the Ballad of a Small Player has a really good chance of pulling off maybe a Best Picture nomination. And finally, my last one before I hand it off to Tristan, I'm going to say Michael. I mean, Michael Jackson, musical biopic, November release. This is giving Oscar bait. Coleman Domingo is going to
not in a good way, Kyle.
Yeah.
Coleman Domingo is going to be an abusive father. He's going to be hitting him across the face, and he's going to get a supporting actor nomination. There'll be so much discourse about Michael Jackson and his misgivings, but it should be fun. It should be a fun season. This November, we'll be talking about it. Me and Helmer will be saying, Alex, you and me are going to be like, Michael Jackson, did he do it or did he not? And Tristan and me will talk about the music. We'll talk about human nature.
Tristan, Kyle and Unyolo basically rattled off a bunch of movies. Any ones that they didn't list off that you wanted to mention before we close out the show?
Yeah, I have a couple. If we're talking blockbusters, I think we need to mention Avatar, Fire and Ash. I don't know how well it'll do because, like, eventually, you know, are all of these Avatar movies going to get into Best Picture? I'm not sure, but they've had a pretty great track record so far. My big one right now is Sentimental Value, which is from Neon. Yes, that is going to win.
It's Alpha. It's not Sentimental Value.
No, it is
Alpha.
not.
It's going to be Alpha.
So Sentimental Value is directed by the person who directed my favorite film of 2021.
Jacques Contraire.
The worst person in the world. And This one has Stellan Skarsgård, Renate Reinsvo's coming back. Neon's behind it. Elle Fanning's going to be in it. It sounds like it's going to be their big push, I think. Hamnet is another one, the new Chloe Zhao movie from Focus. It's like a Shakespearean film. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but I think it'll have some great performances. Paul Mescal, Jesse Buckley. One that I'm feeling really confident about is A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey by Kaganada, who did Columbus. And this is Margot Robbie and Colin Farrell. And then this doesn't have distribution yet. Actually, I have two more. Okay. These two don't have distribution, but they're supposed to be playing this year at festivals. And one is Die My Love, which is from Lynn Ramsey. And it's going to be a thriller starring Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson. And then Anne Lee, which is directed by Mona Fastvold, who wrote The Brutalist. And this is actually written by Brady Corbet. So, co-written. So I'm really curious to see how that one turns out.
I looked up Hamnet. I already know I'm going to hate this movie.
No, can I just say, I've read Hamnet, and it's a book talk book, and that's not Hamnet. People are coping. People are coping.
And a question, like, because I don't know if any of you guys were able to see it before he got banned and now he's out again. Do you think Magazine Dreams, like Jonathan Majors, can get any? Because when he came out first, everyone was saying that he was amazing and whatever. So it's being released now. Do you think he could still? Because I see a little bit of like the opinion of people changing. So
in my head. So like I'm thinking Briarcliff just got 2 nominations this year with Sebastian Stan and Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice.
They're
the
doing
thing is
James too.
Yeah, so they bought it from Searchlight after
they
Searchlight.
Really thrive in that area. Controversial.
Yeah. No, but I just don't see it. I don't know. Like I think the abuse allegations might just be too much. And especially given that they're releasing in March as opposed to giving it like a later October, November release, maybe even releasing like a festival or something, it's giving me like kind of concern that they're not going to give it the awards push that they could. So I'm going to say no for that.
Yep. And then quickly before we head on, Life at Chuck, which premiered at TIFF last year, Mark Hamill, Best Supporting Actor. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I didn't love the movie like you and others did, Tristan, but that's going to happen. Mark Hamill's going to get nominated for that. He's going to be a player. But anyways, guys, let's move on to our final segment of the show. This is a speed conversation walkthrough as we head through a bunch of questions in 2 minutes. Unyolo, we're going to start with you. 2 minutes on the clock. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. First question. Time has started. Best speech of the night.
Best supporting actor. I'm missing his name. But just like using that speech to say that his wife has to have the 4th kid, that's the best one for sure in a lot of years. So I would say him.
Tristan, was Conan the best Oscars host of all time?
No, I think Billy Crystal still has that in the bag, but he hosted like 10 times. I do think that Conan is going to be one of these guys who comes back many more times. And I think he's going to be one of the quintessential Oscars hosts.
Kyle, funniest moment of the ceremony.
My favorite moment is like when Billy Crystal in the past did blackface.
What?
Funniest moment of this Oscar ceremony. I'm sorry, hold on. It was.
I was like, where did I miss that part? I didn't saw that happening.
The funniest moment of this Oscar ceremony. I'm so sorry.
50 seconds left, Kyle. Worst speech of the night. Tristan, 5 seconds.
Worst speech of the night? The songwriters for Elmo.
All right, that's time, guys. I'd like to thank our guests, Tristan and Kyle, co-hosts of Awards Addicts. Guys, it's been a pleasure to have you on our first episode of Cinema Wars. Y'all make sure to check out their podcast. Link will be in the description below. Big J, it's a pleasure as always. Thank you for co-hosting with me. We'll be back next week with another Cinema Wars episode. Thank you all for tuning in. See you soon.